Welcome back to my channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on where you are. It's Gekitou here, and we're here to talk about Council Mode. The big reveal. I thought about maybe waiting till it was like fully done, and then like fully like story mode implemented done, and then doing like an announcement trailer. But then I realized like that's way too much work. I'm not trying to do all of that. So I decided to go ahead and make this a regular dev vlog for you guys, announcing the new Council Mode to go side along with EX Mode. I'm so excited about this because this mode, I didn't really think much of this mode. I know I wanted to do this mode, I know I used it a little bit, but I figured it would just be another side mode, like whatever. Not that big of a deal. But as I'm developing it, maybe it's just because it's fresh. It could just be that it's just so fresh that it feels like amazing. But this mode feels fantastic. I wouldn't say definitive, but it's up there. Like, I don't know if it's better than EX mode, like what I have planned for EX mode. Again, because it wasn't supposed, like I always thought like 3D free roam would be like the biggest mode, and it might probably still be. But Council Mode is really stacking up to be something, excuse me, impressive. And I want to dive into a lot of that right now. So let's jump in to a Council Mode game. So the way that it's set up right now, it's you will go to single player, and then it is part of the Hurricane Clash suite. Hurricane Clash is just a title, like a name from EX3 to describe it's kind of like extra mode. Excuse me. And then within Hurricane Clash, I've branched that out a bit. Hurricane Clash mode in EX3 was just free roam. Well, not even free roam, just roaming through like the EX mazes from EX3. So that's where EX was inspired off of, EX being just EX3. That's what that is. EX is EX3's mode, which is where you run through the mazes. Roam is just free roam. Like, I call it roam instead of free roam because free roam implies like you're in the entire, like, I don't know. I just think roam is a better name. So Hurricane Clash roam is roaming. That's going to be around like a map, like stage-based maps. Right now, that's limited to the stages you can play on, but eventually that'll be part of the Big Leaf Village map you can roam. That's why it's called roam. EX mode is the mazes, specifically with all of those mini games. Obviously, like Find All, Search, Rescue, these things. They're like mini game versions. And then we get to Council Mode, which used to be called Hurricane Clash Sprint. The reason it was called Sprint was Roam and EX was 3D, and then Sprint was 2D. And the idea was to get from point A to point B. Linear gameplay, these are about exploration. This was a 2D linear platformer. But then I was like, well, that whole Sprint idea was from Ninja Council. So I decided that a better name would be, since this name was based off of EX, from the Japanese versions of Clash of Ninja, I figured Council would probably be a better, more fitting name since this represents the 2D genre, and Tomy published the Ninja Council series as well. So Ninja Council, Ninja Destiny, and Path of the Ninja were all under the same publisher as Clash of Ninja, Dragon Blade Chronicles, all those. So I kind of see them all as like, you know, one together game. So I kind of like Ultimate Clash Ninja doesn't just celebrate Clash of Ninja, it celebrates kind of Tomy. It celebrates Tomy's Naruto game. Tomy, aiding Atlas, I think they were all D3 publisher. They were all responsible for the Clash of Ninja and stuff. So, anyway, that's where I got the name. Excuse me. That's why I decided to change the name to Council Mode from Sprint. You'll probably see, I think in the EX demo I had Sprint in there. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember. But for a while I've had Sprint in here. Now it's Hurricane Clash Council. Now we can jump in. Enough of the intro. Oh boy! Okay, excuse me. He plays young Naruto. This is becoming my favorite outfit, this one right here, like the no headband, open jacket. I just love this outfit, it just looks nice. Alright, so I've only imported 3 stages so far, and don't mind the art here. I just have art here because the game is designed to not display stages that don't have artwork yet. That's kind of how I tell the game when a stage is finished or not, when to present it now. That's part of the new logic, so I had to put images here so that I could access the stages without being in dev mode. But anyway, these are not these are not screenshots of the Council mode. These are actually of just the regular mode. The Council stages are different. They don't take place in the 3D arenas. They take place in a different arena. So, but I will start. Do I want to start in Riverside? I don't want to start in Riverside. I'm going to start in Warehouse Road. Because Warehouse Road is kind of where I've been doing all my like early testing. So all the screenshot teasers have been in Warehouse Road. We will start here.
Get ready.
Right, here I go.
Don't mind the boxes. This is a collision thing. I just put a big wall at the beginning so I can't run backwards. That's all it is. And I put some boxes there that are getting caught up in the collision, so don't worry about that. Anyway, it's just bugging. Sorry, not bugging. Testing stuff. Excuse me. Let me drink some water. Okay. Before I even stop moving, I wanted to explain what you're looking at right here. What you're looking at is a 2D variant of Clash of Ninja. So you can't move in 3D space. This is solely 2D. It's obviously its root core, as the name implies, is based off of the Ninja Council series from the Game Boy and eventually Nintendo DS. And technically the 3DS with the new era, but we won't get into that. So that's what this is based off of. This map that we are on is not the Warehouse Road map from the like main game. So what I ended up deciding to do for Hurricane Clash, or Council, was originally I was supposed to do this. It was going to be like Dragon Blade Chronicles. I'm not sure if you guys remember that game at the beginning. Sorry guys, I'm all sinusy. At the beginning of Dragon Blade Chronicles, there's a that box. There's a section of gameplay where you have to take Naruto and run through the Leaf Village, fighting off the Mugon-hei as you work your way to the Hokage's mansion, the Hokage Monument, and it's just linear. I mean, you can move in 3D space, but it's a linear stage. The progression is moving forward, and you get a little bit of 3D depth, but it's mainly 2D moving forward. So I was thinking about Hurricane Clash mode being just like that, just sprinting through the Leaf Village, the Sand Village, etc. And that was the end of that. I didn't really plan on having variances unless it made sense. It would need to be in areas of the village that were flat, like straightforward, because you can't move in 3D space, and I didn't want to deal with like rotating around turns and having different. I don't want to deal with all. I just wanted a straight line platformer, and that would be it. Very simplistic. Again, it's just some side note for some extra content. Pay homage to Ninja Council, but I was going through the Clash Ninja stage files, and I I went back to the stage transitions. If you guys remember in the Revolution, well, EX and then Revolution, they introduced stage transitions, and when you transition from a stage, they play a little cutscene where you run to the next stage. Well, those cutscenes, 90% of them take place in a special version of the stage designed for the cutscene. It's not the actual main stage in most of them. I think the only stages that actually use the main stage is the Chunin Exams Arena, because they run around the arena when they do it, and the Three-Way Deadlock, which does the same thing. You run around Manda's body. So they actually take place in the actual stage. But pretty much every single other stage in the franchise that has a stage transition teleports to a different map that has its own assets designed, and then like 70% of those maps that actually get custom maps, like Warehouse Road, are actually designed to only be seen from one perspective, meaning it's a 2D map. It's only designed to be seen from forward. So I was looking at their design. Oh, and the whole point of this was they're tiled, because you run for a while usually in those cutscenes, and so they need a background that can be quite long without having to model this long background. So they tiled them off in chunks of like 200 meters. So they're big sizable chunks that they will tile together to make these really long corridors linked together of different things for these cutscenes. So I was like, these are some really good models, stage assets. So I know we're almost 10 minutes into this and we haven't even seen Council yet. This is all the background. So I decided to take those. I thought they were really nicely put together, and so I decided to take those and use those as the basis for Council mode, because they're really nice and they're 2D and they fit this plane. So let's do that. And I did. So this is actually one of those cutscene models that I've stitched together a couple of times. And then, yeah, so this is Council mode. It uses those things, and they stitch them together, and then I added in a skybox that follows the player. So the skybox actually stationary with the character, but it looks like it's moving because I have it the way I have it set up anyway. The skybox follows the player, so that way the stages can be as long as possible without having overbearing skyboxes. And then the background, these are those stitched together assets. So that's what I did, and I created Council mode. So yeah, and then what I did, basically those maps were, while they were pretty good, they were fairly detailed. They were designed for backgrounds, so they were mostly generic and empty, with some, a few assets. Like here, they put some boxes in front, just, to make it look a little bit nicer. These small boxes, I added these, but we'll get to those in a second. But in the background, those boxes are part of the stage. Those are always there just for a little bit of detail, but other than that, it's very, very, very minimal. Even that's more detailed than most of these stages get. So obviously that would kind of seem like a negative, but actually ended up being a positive, because now all of that empty space I can fill with my own objects and my own aspects, platforms to make council mode. So, council mode, again, is designed to be the 2D version. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm dying over here, oh my gosh. So council mode's designed to be a platformer. It's covering the platform side of Naruto. Now, I don't believe this by itself should be classified as a Naruto game, because again, that would then play into the problems I have with Storm and the other titles of making good games, but they're not Naruto games. I want to shy far away from that. Naruto should not just be a 2D platformer, but 2D platforming can be used in a Naruto game to make great gameplay, and that's what I've done with council mode. So basically, I would fill these empty areas up with objects, such as these boxes, which don't really do much. They're mostly nuisances, and they kind of get in the way. I haven't added in yet, but you will be able to press Y and pick these up. The only reason I haven't added yet is because I have to do animations for that, and I haven't decided what animations I want to do. Like, how do I want to have them carry it? Do I want to carry it in front? Do I want to carry it on top of their heads? Because there's different objects. We'll get to that later. So I haven't decided all of that just yet, and how to do the animation, so I can't really code that in without the animation to follow. So, but anyway, these objects are interactable, and you can pick them up and throw them. At least this one, like the small box, you would be able to do that. And you can also run over them. They kind of just get in the way, and they're annoying, and it's hilarious. We'll get to more of that in the future as well. But also, things like this. Y'all may have seen, I teased this already, wall running! So this is one of those things where I combined new mechanics. So the council movements are broken up a little bit different from normal gameplay, meaning you can't sidestep, but that's really the only thing that's gone. So your normal movements are here. If you use the control pad, the D-pad, you can do all of your normal Clash Ninja moves, including walking backwards, which is accustomed to which side you're facing. So yeah, you can walk backwards. That way you can ensure you can do your backwards attacks. Yeah, and then you can do your double taps. You can hold L and do your back dash too. All of that, hold L to do a dash immediately on frame 1. Your jump back. All of these are normal from normal Clash Ninja gameplay, which leads you to point 1. I asked a question recently on my forums, what is the best, what games did I use to inspire council mode? And I put 3 options. Was it Clash Ninja? Was it Ninja Council or Ultimate Ninja? The answer is actually all of the above. So the general setup is Ninja Council, being a 2D platformer. The movement and combat system, though, is not Ninja Council. The movement and combat is Clash of Ninja. So all of your Clash Ninja moves are here. I haven't added in enemies yet, so I can't show you the actual fighting, but I mean, all the moves are here. Even transitioning into the Nine Tails, it's all here. So yeah, all of that's here. And then you guys may be thinking, wait, hold on a minute, back up. You said Ultimate Ninja. Yes! Ultimate Ninja. So I wanted to add in the versatility of Ultimate Ninja. So while you have your Clash Ninja moves, oh yeah, and the control stick lets you run in any direction, and it also tweaks for using analog controls. It lets you run slow or fast, because that will be necessary for platforming. So the D-pad just does your normal Clash Ninja speed, which is fixed. A fixed speed for walking and running, and then you use the control stick for your slower speeds. Same thing with the jump button. You can press up for just normal fixed jumps, or you can press the R button, which I took from EX3. They had the R button as the jump, so that way your A button stays free for kunai and stuff, for all of those attacks. So R is jump for roam, and then this one lets you jump freely and you move. The jump is not fixed, and you can double jump too. I think, yeah, the height is the same. So the heights are the same for the jump, it's just a different button, and it does give you this movement. So normal jump, you cannot move once you're in the air, like in original Clash Ninja, but with the R jump in council mode, you can move back and forth, which will be necessary for platforming in the future. And I want to add in the versatility of Ultimate Ninja, such as wall running. So wall running lets you run up certain objects. Not every wall is runnable, but pretty much every wall is runnable. Every wall that makes sense to run up, you can run up. Like if there's like a small like box or something, you're not gonna be able to stick the side of a box. That's dumb. But yeah, like poles, actual proper walls, all of these will be interactable like this. You can't fight on walls, but you can certainly run up them and you can jump. You can also drop off of walls. Excuse me. And it is direction based as well. And of course you can drop and start fighting immediately too. So that's how it's designed to work. Yeah. So yeah, that's how wall running works. The way it happens is all you have to do is stand next to a wall, and when you jump, press up, and you'll stick to the wall. But to make things simpler, if you're running towards a wall, just hold diagonal upwards while you're running, and you'll automatically stick when you touch the wall. So yeah, so if you're already against the wall, when you jump, just press up again, and you'll stick to the wall. So in this case, my inputs will be R up, and then I would stick. Or if you're running towards the wall, just jump with diagonal held and you'll stick to it immediately upon going. So it's very smooth, very easy to use, very intuitive, and it works perfectly. And then, but that's not all I got from Ultimate Ninja, because you could technically run in certain Ninja Council games. If you hold L and press up or down, you can swap planes. That was directly taken from Ultimate Ninja. I thought it was so cool and unique that Ultimate Ninja had that mechanic. So I decided to implement that into Clash of Ninja! So we get the gameplay style of Ninja Council being a 2D platformer. We get the combat and depth of Clash of Ninja, and we get the versatility of Ultimate Ninja, such as sticking to walls and swapping between the foreground and the background. So yeah, you can do that in Ultimate Clash of Ninja. All you do is hold L and press up or down, and that will swap you between the foreground and the background. Yeah, and it's fantastic. I love it. It's so fun. While I'm up here, I'll show you guys one more other thing. Oh yeah, and these are very, the collision's all set too. So yeah, you can, these are dynamic environments. Another thing I added, this was taken from some of those other World's Best Naruto games out there, the free roam open world Naruto games out there. Some of them let you run supersonic, and so I implemented that as well. Normal running with the D-pad will make you run as normal. I fixed normal running speed as if you were in, again, a regular battle. But using the control stick, I again want this to be more versatile, and these areas are very linear, so they can be very long. If you hold the directional, you'll switch to a ninja dash and do a supersonic burst, and you'll go even faster. So this will definitely be useful. It is proportionate, of course, to your character, so characters will still have varying running speeds. I may fix that in the future, make the running speed fixed in Council, but I think I'm going to stick to this, having them character specific. But it does affect how far you can jump, so that's why it might give certain characters advantages over others. If their running speed causes them to be able to do a further jump, it may make certain platforming easier than others. So I may need to standardize it, but I haven't started designing the levels just yet. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing. But yeah, all you do is hold the direction all the way for 1 second, and you'll automatically go into supersonic. Yeah, you have to just be on the ground though, so you can't do it while you're jumping. You have to get 1 second of running speed. And anytime your thumb comes even back slightly, you'll lose your supersonic speed. So yeah, anyway, that's where that's from. You can't run too fast because then it becomes OP and it's still a Clash of the game at hot. But yeah, you run faster than your normal running speed. And I switched the animation too. At least if you're doing the regular jog, you will always do a ninja dash when you do the supersonic. Okay! So yeah, now that we have all of these things out, and then there's these small objects, I think that's mainly what I wanted to address in this stage. Yeah, these boxes are just so funny. Yeah, they're super funny. And at the top of poles, when you run up a wall, you automatically jump when you reach the top. If you're holding up, you will automatically jump. You can just kind of walk, and then you'll just kind of fall down, but it's best to run, and you'll do a jump to pop off the top. So yeah, that's kind of just a movement option as you're running through the platforms. Alright, now let's go to Riverside. I'll switch characters. Let's do, I like Kurenai, because Kurenai, she was so Riverside's her stage. Okay, oh my god, this video's already almost 20 minutes long. Alright, don't worry about her spawning on this bench. That's just, again, this is a test stage. This is my main test stage now. This stage has so much junk in it. So yeah, this is Riverside stage. And if you notice, if you listen closely, listen to the sound effects. So if I'm up here, footsteps, water splashes. So yeah, so on the Riverside stage, same story. This comes from the Riverside transition, and it's perfect for council mode because it's just 2 platforms at different heights, and yeah, you can fill it with whatever I want. So these are just floating boxes. I'll add a floating animation in the future, but yeah. This is the Riverside stage. And I just put some objects here. So this one will show off all the objects that I have in the game, at least so far. The benches are stationary objects that I've added here just to make sure like I could like get collision right for different heights and like falling off and stuff like that. Like if you were to walk off of this to make sure like if it's a small object like this, short to the ground, she just kind of falls off when she walks off of it. But if it's like a taller object like the big box, then you do like a proper landing animation. Same thing for each kind of item will have its own properties and own things. So this crate is the big crate. This crate cannot be picked up, but I will add in logic so that it can be pushed. Just like in Dragon Blade Chronicles. That's where this box is from, Dragon Blade Chronicles, this crate. So this crate cannot be broken because it's steel reinforced, as you can see around the edges, and it's too big and heavy to lift up, but you will be able to push it. So this will be good for certain puzzles where you may need to push a heavy object to keep something held on, like a switch, hold it down, or if you need to reach a certain height and you can't reach it with a normal jump, you can push over this crate and then use this as some extra height. So the little crate, this one can be picked up, but it can also be destroyed. Again, haven't programmed these things in yet, but these will function just like they did kind of in the Revolution games. They provide a little bit of cover for you if you're fighting. So again, this has full fighting mechanics, which is just insane! Clash of Ninja with full mechanics, but in a 2D platformer. What? So these will be able to get picked up, and I think the gimmick with boxes, like crates like this that are wooden, is they can be picked up, they can be thrown, or they can be broken, so they're probably the most versatile, because if they're blocking you, you can get it out of the way. If you need to use it for a platform, you can pick it up and carry it somewhere. Or something you can push this too, so in that case they're the same. But this one can be thrown, that can't. So let's say you want to, like this one, if I push this over to this ledge, it's stuck at the ledge. But if I take this one and I carry it over to the ledge, I can throw it into the water. Excuse me, again. And this will be buoyant because it's wooden. It will float and give me platforms in the water. Let's say I want to do a mission with the floor is lava situation with water. Or maybe I'll add in a mechanic where if your chakra is on 0, water will not drain chakra, but maybe if you don't have any chakra at all, you won't be able to stand on water. So maybe the mission will start you off with 0 chakra. And so therefore you can't walk on water, but maybe for the objective you have to get to the other side of the water. So now you have to like throw a crate. And I was testing this actually over here on the side. So I was like, what if I was not able to touch water? What I could do is I could like jump off here. Oh, I missed it. Hold on. The camera changes angles too, so maybe I'll get like a jumping start. My webcam was covering it. Sorry guys, so I can't see. All right, so I made it to the first one, and then I could like do a little bit of platforming. I lost it there, but the idea would be like maybe you have to do platforming with these crates in the water, and maybe like the very first one that you do is like a part of the puzzle. Like there's a crate over here that you have to pick up, and then you throw that, you walk it over here. When these objects aren't in the way, you walk it. Gosh, I'm dying. You walk it over here, throw it in the water, and then that kind of gives you your first object to land on, and then the other ones kind of are a good enough distance already in the water floating, and then and then you have to work your way over to the next platform. So that's an example of like a puzzle. And then let's get to the good stuff. Up top. Up here, I've just been going crazy. So you can like run up here, get on power lines and everything. Yes, it's just so great. And then I added a mechanic since with power lines, since they're so thin and so small, and they can be over part of the ground you need to get on. Because like if I was to go down and then back up, I can get down here. So what I designed power lines to do in similar objects like power lines is if you double tap down while you're on something like this, you can drop through it. So that's kind of the concept, kind of like it's like you can run on top if you want, but it's so thin and so small, if you do need to drop below, you can. So power lines you can go on any side, and then I just imported a bunch of objects. The idea is to, since these stages are so barren, I can populate them with objects used for the platforming. Like this vase, this excavator, these power lines. None of this was in the original stage. The original stage just has literally the ground, those first rails in front. Those benches in the back are part of the stage, and then the trees. That's it. All these boxes, these benches up here in the foreground, this barrel, the drum, all this garbage back here, this construction, all these cones. I love these cones. These cones are so fun to play with. You can like bunch them up and stuff. I love these cones. Just interacting with this stuff is super fun. Just like the fact that you can even interact with it. I just added these because I added that construction stuff in the background, and then I knew I made the cones objects. Excuse me. So I added in the cones in front, so that it looks like some of the cones are like you know, it kind of goes with the background. They're just here to be nuisances. If you're carrying an object, you can't jump. So let's say I need to carry this box. I'm dying, guys. These cones would get in the way, so I'd have to first come grab these cones and throw them on the other side, and get each cone and throw them out of the way. Then I could pick up my box and carry it over here. Or I could get the box and throw it over all the cones, and then pick it up back over here. So that would be an example. So objects like this aren't just to be getting in the way, like just for fun. They will have purposes, and they'll be like obstacles to overcome, or they also kind of get in the way. What if you're like trying to fight enemies and they're like kind of getting in the way, blocking your combos from connecting? You've got to throw a kunai, but then it stops because it hit a cone. Stuff like that will be happening, and these will be a little bit less useful. These will be more nuisances than anything. So even though I can pick up and throw things, maybe I need to throw it at something, but they wouldn't be heavy enough to hold down, for example, a switch, and they wouldn't be buoyant because cardboard sogs in the water, and I don't think cones float. Maybe they do, but I don't think their shape allows a cone to float in the water, so it'll just sink. So boxes will sog and sink, and then these will just sink because they're not very boat-shaped. But the wooden crates are objects you can pick up, but they will float. So each object will have like different purposes. The barrel is stationary, you can't pick it up, you can't move it, but these are barrels of oil. So if you were to throw, let's say, a paper bomb at it, excuse me guys, I'm dying from talking. But if you were to throw a paper bomb at that, or use a fire style jutsu, that would blow it up and move it out the way. So again, if this is an object you need to find out a way to get fire, you can either use your own jutsu if you have a character that's fire jutsu. Kunai doesn't have fire jutsu, but she does throw kunai, and any kunai user can turn that kunai into a paper bomb kunai. So that'll be able to blow it up when I add the collision for it. So if this was an object that I need to get out the way, I could blow it up with her paper bombs. Or I will always have some kind of backup option for non-fire users, or either have the mission be locked behind characters, but I don't think I'll lock the missions behind characters. So you can pick it whatever character you want, but maybe I'll have like a torch that you can get, and maybe you get the torch from over here, you pick up the torch, and you gotta get it from over here, dodging, you know. Since you can't jump, all these objects will be in the way, so you have to get rid of these objects first. And then maybe this bench, since you can't move the bench, you'll be stuck here. But maybe from here you can throw the torch. Or I get rid of the bench, put it here, and then you throw the torch from here. And then that'll light the, you throw the torch and that'll blow up the barrel. Stuff like that. Or even up here, like for example, if you were to, so this power line's in back, that's why I can't stand on it, but these ones are in front. Let's say these power lines were electrified, so touching them would kill you on electrocution. So you would have to first go find the source. Let's say the source is over here. This power box up there, let's say that power box was facing me, and that was the issue. I could just throw some kunai upwards, destroy the power box, and then that would allow me to run up this and then walk on the power line. So puzzles like that, I'm dying over here, guys. Puzzles like that would be some of the ideas that I have for council mode. Yeah, and it's just it's so versatile. There's so many different things you can do. Pots you can pick up and they break on the first throw. So yes, you can throw them, but no, like they will break on throw. But maybe pots are also heavy enough to hold down switches. So maybe if there's a box, like a switch that you can't reach pushing a box, but there's a vase here, you can pick up the pot and carry it over. But you have to put it down. You can't throw it. You have to place it down and be careful not to drop it, because if you get hit by anything, maybe there's like some hazards, and if you get hit and you drop it, it'll break. So maybe that's kind of its lore, like its purpose. It's kind of like, and it doesn't float either. So it's kind of like it's kind of like has similar uses to the box that you push. But if that's not available, or there's something that you can't get over, you can use the pot. Yeah. So yeah, all these objects will have purposes. The excavator is kind of more of a hazard. For example, here, if I was stuck here, my jump is just not high enough to get out of here. It just isn't. I've tried a million times. I cannot get out of here. No matter how much I try, and there's no object to stand on. So I can just, I'll jump. So, and the controls feel so good. They feel so great. Like, these things are not hard to pull off. It feels so nice to execute. Just wait till I add enemies, and there's enemies and stuff in here to fight. And it won't start it. It won't like be like Hurricane Clash EX where you have to trigger a special cutscene to start the battle. Since this is already in the 2.5D mode with all my moves available, like you fight in real time. There is no transition. It's just part of the fight. It's like an extended battle. So yeah. Welcome to council mode. This video is 30 minutes long. I need to let you guys go. This part of the water is just barren because obviously there's not really any objects I can put in the water right now. These boats are low poly boats. I'm going to replace these. They're high quality models for these in another stage, the canal stage. So I'm going to get that boat and turn it into, from that stage, the higher quality one that has full 3D geometry. I'm going to turn that into an object that I can place in the water, and that way I can use these boats as platforms for the water as well. I may even add in the ability to move, where they can actually go through the stage, or maybe they'll move between the foreground and the actual background. So maybe I have to wait, you know, for it to be in the foreground to jump on it, and then it will kind of move into the background, and I can't use it anymore as it goes on its trail. So maybe I can do something like that with these and use the boats in the water. But right now I just have these floating boxes that don't have their floating animations. So this will be a version of it. So maybe you get like to the middle, you platform here to the middle, and then you have to wait on this final box for one of the boats to go by, and then the box comes into the foreground here, and then I can jump. Sorry, not the box. The boat comes into the foreground here, and then you jump on the boat, and then you ride that. Excuse me. Till you get here or something like that, and then it moves back out of the foreground, and then you have to jump off before it kicks you off the boat. So all kinds of things can happen. And one last thing I'm also testing is, obviously in this version of the stage, the foreground is programmed right here on this first piece of pier, not the background one, and then same thing with the background being up here on the ledge. There will be different stages, because when I first did the Riverside stage, I actually didn't have them this close to the wall. I had them further into the water, so they would actually, this whole bridge was part of the background. But then I thought, it'd be kind of cool if you could like interact with the bridge to kind of just, so that way you're just not just running on bare water. Like this boat, none of this was part of the geometry. You were just running on flat water, and that was it. And I was like, that might get boring. Like, there's not a whole lot I can do with that. I really have to fill it up with objects, and then it's also water, so what could I really do in the water? So I decided to bring the foreground forward a little bit, because I said that I determined where the foreground is. And so I decided to bring the foreground a little bit closer in, so that you can get this part of the boat to jump on, you can get this part of the pier to jump on. And then that got me thinking. I was like, ooh, what if there were different variants of the same stage that let you use different foregrounds and backgrounds? I toyed with the idea of having multiple layers to switch between, like 3 or more, but I don't like that. I want to stick with just the 2, foreground and background. But I thought maybe with different levels, the foreground and background could be different. So for example, in this level, it's right here in this kind of area where the foreground will be aligned with this first pier. And then the background will be aligned up here. But maybe there's a version of this stage where the foreground's at its original point in the middle of the water, and it's all water there, and then the background would actually be right here, still on the water, but maybe it's either this level that I'm on now, or the background could be the level right behind me where it goes up that ramp, and that would be the background level. So it never goes all the way up here, but rather it goes up to this second part. So basically both sides, both the foreground and the background are water, but they're next to each other. And they give you kind of 2 different experiences, excuse me, because the foreground would be 100% water and dealing with only water objects, and then the background would be pier. And again, maybe that could also add in some platforming challenges where maybe you don't have any chakra, and so you have to do some of the platforming in the foreground, and then when you run out of foreground options, you have to switch to the background and then do that one, and then you can kind of do this teeter-tottering. So levels may have different foregrounds and backgrounds to play between. So anyway, this is council mode so far. I'm really excited. I'll show you the Tanzaku Castle before I go. This level's not really impressive. There's nothing really in here. Or there's nothing in here. I haven't put any objects or anything like that in here. The only reason that I have this level in here is because I wanted to test something with the background buildings. Because when I do the Leaf Village stage, I wanted to have a level where you're at the street level, you're on the ground in the foreground, and in the background you're on the buildings, on the rooftops. And so, but the Leaf Village stage doesn't have a good foreground. I'll have to run it through Blender because it has all these extra stuff in the front that I have to get rid of. So I can't put the Leaf Village on the stage until I run it through Blender, and I'm not ready to do all that yet. But Tanzaku Town has a perfect, just flat ground in the front. Easy, simple, straightforward. I mean, this pole is floating, so I still have to do work on it in Blender, but for just testing purposes, it worked well enough, and that's where the background level is. But this one has buildings that were already... also, I'll have to reposition all the buildings in the background of the Leaf Village to ensure there's a linear path you can do, because you can't move in depth, so I have to align all the buildings. But fortunately, Tanzaku Town is already aligned, so all the buildings were perfectly aligned. Not perfectly, I tweaked like 2 buildings, just quickly in the exporter when I was exporting it. I did it in Brawlbox, so not a full edit, just a quick... Let me make sure these align properly. so that we can get a straight line. So and this was really, I haven't done all the collision yet, so some of the building, like I may get stuck here. I haven't done all the collision yet, but I got enough of it to test around, and it doesn't feel great just yet. And if you look at the background, all the background elements kind of are really low poly, so I'll have to fix the stage up quite a bit if I even decide to do Tanzaku Castle or Tanzaku Town as a stage to do in council mode. But like here, this is very buggy. You see that? That should not be happening. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted a kind of a sample of what it would be like to run on the rooftops of buildings, and it does feel good. Except for when you get to really tall buildings like this and the collision's not working right. But yeah, it feels decent. It's kind of cool how like on some levels you're like not fighting on the roof itself, but you're fighting on balconies, and then jumping now you're on another roof again. You're running on these people's houses, the businesses, the corporations at the very top. You're like behind these water silos. It's really unique to think about. Yeah, and then of course you'll also then have like the ground level, so you can run in front of the businesses too, and then you can also be in the background. Don't tell anyone, but I'm also planning a multiplayer mode, and in multiplayer you won't be able to switch between the foreground and the background. Rather, one player will be in the foreground and the other player will be in the background, and then the camera will be positioned in a way that shows both. So imagine you're running down here dealing with all the ground stuff, and then your teammate, your friend is up here on the rooftops doing the stuff up here on the rooftops. And obviously single player missions will not work with multiplayer missions for the missions where you have to swap between foreground and background to puzzle solve. So multiplayer will have its own unique puzzle solving that requires two players doing different things at the same time, such as stand on these two switches at the same time. Or maybe one player gets stuck behind here and the player down below has to do something on their screen to allow the player up top to move, and vice versa. So there will be all kinds of applications for council mode. So yeah. Alright, we're at 36 minutes. This video's long enough. I hope you guys liked it. I hope I didn't talk way too much. I know I talked a lot, but I hope I didn't talk too much. Let me know what you guys think about council mode in the comments. I really love to know what you guys think, if this is like a good idea, if it's unique. There's tons of council in the background. So let me know what you guys think. I'm really excited for council mode. Let me know if you're excited for council mode. Cheers, everyone.